Most people are not slow readers because their brains are weak. They are slow readers because they are still using reading habits they learned as children. Think about it. When you were young, reading meant sounding out words, moving line by line, trying to understand every sentence, and proving to a teacher that you had read properly. That made sense when you were learning the basics. But now you are an adult. You read emails, reports, books, articles, contracts, PDFs, research, newsletters, messages, and endless online content. The problem is that your reading demands have grown up, but your reading method may not have grown up with them. That is the big idea behind Abby Marks-Beale's 10 Days to Faster Reading. The book is not really about rushing through words like a robot. It is about reading with purpose. It teaches that faster reading is not just a trick. It is a smarter way to handle information. Instead of treating every sentence like it deserves equal attention, you learn to choose what matters, skip what does not, and keep your brain actively engaged. Because in the real world, the goal is not to read every word. The goal is to get the value. Faster reading begins with knowing your current speed. Before you can improve your reading, you need to know where you are starting. Marks-Beale recommends measuring two things: reading speed and comprehension. This is important because speed alone is meaningless. Reading 500 words per minute is not impressive if you remember almost nothing. But reading slowly is also not automatically better if you are wasting time on details that do not matter. The goal is to find the right balance between speed and understanding. A simple test works like this. Choose a short article, ideally around 500 words. Time yourself while reading it normally. Answer a few comprehension questions afterward without looking back. Calculate how many words you read per minute. Check how much you actually understood. This gives you a personal baseline. Many average readers fall somewhere around 200 to 300 words per minute with decent comprehension. If you are far below that, you may be stuck in slow, passive habits. If you are above 400 words per minute while still understanding the material well, you may already be reading efficiently. But the real point is not comparison. The point is awareness. You cannot improve what you never measure. And once you know your current reading speed, you can stop guessing and start training. The big reading lie. You must read every word. One of the biggest myths Marks-Beale challenges is the belief that good reading means reading every word carefully. That belief comes from school. In school, reading often meant proving that you could remember details. You were rewarded for complete coverage, careful attention, and not skipping anything. But adult reading is different. In adult life, not all reading material deserves the same level of attention. A legal document, poem, or important contract may require slow reading, but a business article, report, nonfiction chapter, or informational email often does not. Trying to read everything with the same intensity is like driving at the same speed on every road, highway, alley, parking lot, and mountain path. It makes no sense. A mature reader adjusts. Sometimes you read carefully. Sometimes you skim. Sometimes you scan for one answer. Sometimes you preview before deciding whether the text is worth reading at all. That is not cheating. That is intelligent reading. The key shift is this. Faster reading is not about disrespecting the text. It is about respecting your time. The 10 reading beliefs that slow you down. Marks-Beale identifies several old reading beliefs that hold people back. Many of us were taught ideas like, you have to read every word. You need to sound out every word in your head. You should not use your hand or finger while reading. You need to understand everything completely. Skimming is cheating. Writing in books is bad. Speed does not matter. The more you read, the better, no matter what you read. These beliefs sound responsible, but they can become mental chains. The truth is that good readers are flexible. They do not read a novel, a spreadsheet, a business report, and a textbook in exactly the same way. They change their speed based on the purpose. They mark important ideas. They skim when appropriate. They slow down when needed. They use tools, fingers, notes, previews, and strategies. The real skill is not reading slowly enough to feel serious. The real skill is knowing how much attention a text deserves. That is what faster reading is really about. Control. The 3 passive habits that kill reading speed. Marks-Beale highlights 3 common habits that slow readers down. mind wandering, regression, and subvocalization. These habits are normal, but if they take over, reading becomes slow, frustrating, and ineffective. 1. Mind wandering. Mind wandering is when your eyes keep moving across the page, but your brain has quietly left the building. You are reading a paragraph about productivity, but suddenly you are thinking about dinner, work, a message you forgot to answer, or something awkward you said 3 years ago. Very normal, very human, very capybara. But it destroys comprehension. Marks-Beale makes an important distinction. Not all mental connection is bad. If you are reading about a famous sculpture and you remember seeing it in real life, that can actually help. She calls this kind of connection brain glue. You connect new information to something you already know, which makes it easier to understand and remember. The problem is when your thoughts drift away from the reading instead of connecting to it. Active connection helps. Passive daydreaming hurts. 2. Regression. Regression means your eyes keep jumping backward to reread words or lines. Sometimes this is useful. If you missed a key point or need to confirm something important, going back is smart. But passive regression happens when you constantly reread because you were not paying attention the first time. This creates a slow loop. You read, your mind wanders, you reread, you lose momentum. Then you get tired and distracted again. The solution is not to forbid rereading completely. The solution is to reread intentionally. Go back only when there is a clear reason. Do not let your eyes wander backward out of habit. 3. Subvocalization. Subvocalization means silently saying each word in your head while reading. This is one of the biggest speed limits for many readers. If you mentally pronounce every word, your reading speed is tied to your speaking speed. And speaking is much slower than thinking. That does not mean subvocalization is always bad. For poetry, literature, speeches, legal language, or anything where the exact wording matters, slowing down can be useful. But for most nonfiction, articles, reports, and information-heavy material, reading word by word is often unnecessary. The goal is not to eliminate your inner voice completely. That may be unrealistic. The goal is to reduce your dependence on it. You want to train your eyes and brain to absorb groups of meaning, not individual words one by one. Focus is the foundation of fast reading. Many people think speed reading is only about eye movement, but Marks-Beale makes it clear. Focus comes first. A distracted reader is a slow reader. And in today's world, focus is under attack from everywhere. Phones, notifications, emails, background noise, people, open tabs, unfinished tasks, and the constant feeling that something else needs your attention. So before you try to read faster, create better reading conditions. Build a reading environment. Find a place where your brain can settle. That might be a library, a quiet cafe, a park, a desk, or a specific reading chair at home. The key is reducing friction. You want fewer interruptions and fewer reasons to escape the page. Put technology on a schedule. Your phone is not evil, but it is a professional attention thief. If you check messages every 5 minutes, your reading never gets deep enough to become fast. Marks-Beale suggests setting designated times for email and phone checks instead of letting technology interrupt whenever it wants. This gives your brain permission to focus. Use music carefully. Television is usually a terrible reading partner because it competes for your attention. But calm background music, especially instrumental or classical music, can help some people concentrate. The rule is simple. If it pulls your mind away from the text, turn it off. If it helps you settle, use it. Brain dump. Before reading. Sometimes the problem is not the book. The problem is your mind is crowded. Before reading, take 1 minute to write down everything that is pulling at your attention. Tasks, worries, reminders, ideas, errands. This clears mental space, and if a thought appears while reading, write a quick note and return to the page. Do not let one random thought hijack the whole session. Take planned breaks. Forced interruptions hurt focus. Planned breaks protect it. Reading for 25 to 30 minutes, then taking a short break, can help you maintain energy and comprehension. This is especially useful for dense material. The goal is not to read endlessly like a machine. The goal is to read with a sharp brain. Train your eyes to see more at once. Once your focus improves, you can begin training your eyes. Many slow readers stop their eyes too often. They look at each word individually, almost like stepping on every stone across a river. Faster readers learn to take in groups of words, phrases, and ideas. This is called expanding your eye span. Stop on keywords and thought groups. Not every word carries equal meaning. In many sentences, short connecting words are just there to hold the structure together. The key meaning often lives in nouns, verbs, names, numbers, and longer content words. Instead of stopping on every word, train your eyes to notice keywords and thought groups. For example, in a sentence about productivity, words like focus, decision, goal, and system matter more than small filler words. This does not mean ignoring grammar or reading carelessly. It means letting your brain process meaning in chunks. Read between the lines. Another technique is focusing slightly above the line of text rather than locking onto each word. At first, this may feel strange, but it can help you stop treating individual words as separate fixation points. Your eyes begin moving more smoothly, and your brain starts absorbing larger pieces of text at once. This takes practice. It may feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but discomfort is part of retraining. Use indenting. Indenting means you do not start your eye movement at the extreme left edge of every line, and you do not finish at the extreme right edge. Instead, you begin slightly inside the left margin and end slightly before the right margin. Why? Because your peripheral vision can still catch the first and last words. This reduces the number of eye stops per line and helps you move faster without losing the meaning. Again, this is not magic. It is training. You are teaching your eyes to stop working like a cautious child and start working like an efficient adult reader. Preview before you read. One of the most powerful ideas in the book is previewing. Marks-Beale compares reading without previewing to taking a trip without a map. If you enter a text with no idea where it is going, you are more likely to get lost, distracted, or overwhelmed. Previewing gives you a roadmap. It is a deliberate skim before reading in detail. And for nonfiction, it can be extremely powerful. Before reading a chapter, article, or report, look at the title and subtitle, the introduction, the conclusion or summary, headings and subheadings, bold or italicized terms, pull quotes or margin notes, charts, images, and captions, author information and publication date. These clues tell you what the material is about, what the author is trying to prove, and where the key ideas are located. Sometimes previewing gives you enough information to decide that you do not need to read the whole thing. That is not laziness. That is smart filtering. In a world drowning in information, one of the best reading skills is knowing what not to read. Create a purpose before reading. Fast readers do not just ask, "What does this say?" They ask, "Why am I reading this?" That question changes everything. Are you reading to get a general overview? To find one specific answer? To prepare for a meeting? To learn a new skill? To evaluate whether the material is useful? To remember details for an exam? Each purpose requires a different reading speed. If you only need one number from a report, scanning is enough. If you need the argument of a book chapter, previewing and selective reading may work. If you need to sign a legal agreement, slow down. Purpose controls speed. Without purpose, you default to old habits. With purpose, you read like a strategist. Comprehension is not about memorizing everything. Many readers slow down because they believe understanding means remembering everything. But that is not how most adult reading works. Often you only need the main idea, the structure, the key evidence, and the practical takeaway. Marks-Beale makes the point that in many nonfiction texts, a large portion is explanation, examples, repetition, or support. That material can be useful, but it is not always equally important. This is why previewing, skimming, and scanning matter. You are not trying to disrespect the author. You are trying to match your attention to your purpose. For example, if you are reading a business book, you may need the main framework, the key examples, the practical steps, the warnings, the conclusion. You may not need every story, every transition, or every repeated explanation. Good reading is selective, and selective reading is not shallow when it is done intentionally. How to practice faster reading this week. The best way to use this book is to turn it into a simple training plan. Start with 1 week. Day 1. Measure your speed. Choose a 500-word article. Time yourself. Test your comprehension. Write down your baseline. Do not judge it. Just record it. Day 2. Notice your passive habits. Read for 15 minutes and observe yourself. Do you daydream? Do your eyes jump backward? Do you say every word in your head? Do not try to fix everything yet. Just become aware. Awareness is the beginning of control. Day 3. Create a better reading environment. Pick one reading space. Silence notifications. Set a timer. Do a quick brain dump before you begin. Then read with full attention for 25 minutes. Day 4. Preview before reading. Before reading an article or chapter, spend 2 minutes previewing. Look at titles, headings, bold words, conclusions, and structure. Ask, what is this about and what do I need from it? Then read. Notice how much easier it feels when your brain has a map. Day 5. Practice keyword reading. Choose a simple nonfiction text. Try to focus on key phrases instead of every single word. Do not worry if your speed feels awkward at first. You are training a new muscle. Day 6. Practice indenting. Read a page while starting slightly inside the left margin and ending slightly before the right margin. Let your peripheral vision help you. The goal is to reduce unnecessary eye stops. Day 7. Retest. Take another reading test. Measure your words per minute. Check your comprehension. Look for improvement, but do not obsess over perfection. The goal is progress. The real lesson: reading is a skill you can upgrade. The most encouraging message of 10 Days to Faster Reading is that reading is not fixed. You are not just a slow reader. You have habits, and habits can be trained. Some people read slowly because they sub-vocalize too much. Some read slowly because they reread constantly. Some read slowly because they never preview. Some read slowly because their environment is chaos. Some read slowly because they never choose a purpose. Each of these can be improved. Not overnight, not magically in 10 days for every person. But with practice, your reading can become faster, sharper, and more strategic. Final thoughts. Read like an adult, not like a student trapped in school. 10 Days to Faster. Reading is not just about speed. It is about freedom. Freedom from the belief that every word deserves equal attention. Freedom from the guilt of skimming. Freedom from old-school rules that no longer fit adult life. Freedom from drowning in information because you do not know how to filter it. Abby Marks-Beale's message is practical and empowering. You can read faster when you read with purpose. You can understand more when you focus better. You can save time when you preview first. You can absorb more when you stop treating every text the same way. The goal is not to become a speed-reading superhero who blasts through books just to brag about numbers. The goal is to become a smarter reader, a reader who knows when to slow down, a reader who knows when to skim, a reader who knows when to stop reading entirely, a reader who can turn information into action. So here is the Lazy Capybara takeaway. Before you read anything, ask one simple question. What do I need from this? Then read for that. Not for perfection, not for school, not for guilt. Read for value. Read with focus. Read with strategy. And little by little, you will not only read faster, you will think better. If this summary helped you rethink how you read, save it. Share it with someone drowning in books, reports, or online content, and subscribe to the Lazy Capybaras for more calm, practical book summaries that help you learn smarter, one page at a time.